Hey guys, it's Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to tell you about the army I'm bringing to play against DJ's Necrons. I'm bringing my DeathWatch, and I am bringing the exact same list I used against his Grey Knights a couple weeks ago. The reason is I have a small local GT coming up, and I want to get as much practice as I can in with this list. It's my my competitive tournament DeathWatch list. In the future, I can bring some different DeathWatch units and show off some different things. I have a pretty big collection of them, but for this, I'm just getting that extra practice in, getting ready for the GT. It's a small local one. I don't get that many opportunities to go to that many GTs, so I want to make sure I'm ready for this one. And anyways, DeathWatch, again, this is the same list I ran a couple weeks ago. It worked really well for me at the Arch City GT in Columbus last month. I went 4-1, great experience, had a lot of fun with that. So let's go through the list a little bit, talk about what everything does, how it works, and we'll meet you on the other side. All right, guys, so this is my DeathWatch. This is the Black Spear Task Force. So what I've got going on here, DeathWatch have a couple things going for them. First of all, they can take mixed kill teams. I've got 2 Proteus kill teams here. We'll get into those in a minute. But also, they've got their own set of stratagems. And their army special rule, they do get Oath of Moment, just like regular Space Marines. But instead of the Space Marine doctrines, we have mission tactics, which function very similarly. DeathWatch mission tactics, there are 3 of them. In each of my command phases, I can choose one of them. I can use each one only one time. So one of them, and I keep promising I'll remember the names of these, but I forgot them. Sorry. One of them gives my entire army lethal hits for the entire battle round in both shooting and combat. A second one gives my entire army sustained hits, shooting and combat. And the third one gives the entire army 6s to hit, become precision. And again, that's shooting and combat. So I can pop one of those off in one of my command phases. It'll last the entire until my next command phase. So it's good through my opponent's turn, or maybe if I shoot some Overwatch, that sort of thing, it's still relevant. But and I can use each of those only once per game. Now I do have a stratagem where I can use I can put one of those on a unit. Additionally, outside of that, one of the neat things about the DeathWatch stratagems is when you put them on a kill team for 1 CP, the stratagem can affect 2 kill teams. So one of the biggest stratagems I have is the Teleportarium strat. For 1 CP, I pick up 2 kill teams or 1 regular Space Marine unit, and I put it into reserve at the end of my opponent's turn and bring it down to my turn via Deep Strike. So it's super powerful for repositioning units so they can get eyes on things, to score primaries, score secondaries, and of course to get eyes on targets because I have a very shooty list. Other stratagems include the ability, I have one where I can extend the range of guns by 6 inches and give them an extra AP. I can make all the guns assault and ignore cover. I have one where I can make all the guns anti-infantry 2-up / anti-monster 5-up. And of course, as a Space Marine player, I have Armor of Contempt. As far as the actual list itself, we've got only 2 characters today. I have a Space Marine Terminator Captain. The Terminator Captain, he has gives his unit the ability to re-roll charge rolls for free. Of course, he does the Captain thing where his unit gets to use one stratagem for free, even if it's been used before already. And he has the enhancement, the Tome of Ectoclades. This is the DeathWatch enhancement. Basically, once per game in my command phase, I can choose 2 Oath of Moment targets for the battle round. These are not sequential like the Gilman ability. I just choose 2, and I can access them throughout throughout the battle round. They'll be able to take advantage of Oath of Moment against 2 different targets. Now, in addition to that, I've got the Calidus Assassin. She's great. A whole lot of Imperialists take her because she has 2 very key abilities. She does shoot and fight fairly well. Not amazing. She's not going to be taken out. She's not the beat stick she used to be. But she does have the ability to pick up and drop down at the end of every one of my opponent's turns. So at the end of every one of my opponent's turns, I can pick her up, put her into reserve or into Deep Strike, and she comes down in my turn. Again, great for scoring primaries and secondaries. Her other ability allows you to vect or to essentially cause one of my opponent's stratagems to cost her an extra CP for the rest of the game. Now, in addition to the characters here, we've got 2 Proteus kill teams. These are the big mixed squad units. They have a crazy combination of models here. Now, both of these have a single Marine on bike, a single Marine with a DeathWatch heavy Thunderhammer, 4 the veterans with the heavy weapons, 4 Terminators, 3 of which have Cyclone missile launchers, and 1 has the Thunderhammer Storm Shield just to tank some wounds. Now, both of these squads are identical, other than the fact that for one squad, all the heavy weapons are frag cannons, and for another squad, all the heavy weapons are Infernus heavy bolters. The frag cannons, pretty shooty when you get up close. They only have an 18-inch range. However, they are rapid fire D3. So they get D3 shots. So they're strength 7, AP1, 2 damage. A pretty strong profile there. I do have that stratagem again that allows me to extend the range by 6 inches. So I can get them up to range 24, making their rapid fire range 12, meaning that they could deep strike and be within rapid fire range. Then the other squad has the 4 of the Infernus heavy bolters. These are just combi heavy flamer, heavy bolter. I just choose which profile I want to use and fire with that. So the heavy bolters are 3 shots, sustained hits, strength 5, AP1, 2 damage, and then switch over to the heavy flamer, which is just D6 auto hits, strength 5, AP1, 1 damage, ignoring cover. So those are the mixed squads. Their special rule for the Proteus kill teams is anytime their unit targets a unit that is half strength or above, they actually get +1 to hit, shooting and fighting. So they're very efficient in their ability to hit things. Next, moving on, we've got 2 Terminator squads. These are DeathWatch Terminator squads, specifically, and the reason they're DeathWatch Terminator squads is because they are 5 points more expensive than a Space Marine Terminator squad, and that means they can take 3 heavy weapons in a 5-man squad. So, of course, I've got more Cyclone missile launchers here. Each squad has 3 Cyclones plus 2 Thunderhammer Storm Shields, and, of course, the Terminator Captain will be accompanying one of these. The DeathWatch Terminator squads, their special rule is that when they complete a charge, anybody who's within engagement range of them has to take a battle shock test. Next, we've got 2 3-man squads of the Plasma Inceptors. These guys are great. A lot of people are running these for obvious reasons. They can deep strike, and when they deep strike, they just have to be outside of 3 inches. They shoot pretty well. I know some people prefer the bolter variants, but I prefer the plasmas just because of the extra AP, especially because with the way cover works now and all the armor saves, sometimes the AP1 on the bolter variants is just not enough to get anything done. So I like the plasma variants. Each one gets 2 shots with the plasmas. They are strength 7, AP2, 2 damage. When they're overcharged, they're strength 8, AP3, 3 damage. And so they're great for dropping in, popping a character, scoring primaries or secondaries, stealing objectives, all that kind of good stuff. And they hit pretty hard too. Next, we've got 2 of the whirlwinds. So the whirlwinds, pretty good in 10th edition. Their whirlwind launcher has a 72-inch range. It's D6 plus 3 shots, blast, and a strength 8, AP2, 2 damage. So definitely has the ability to contribute from anywhere on the table. And they each have a hunter killer missile too, which is kind of nice, especially in 10th edition. The hunter killer missiles are very important. They're effective. And finally, we've got 1 hailstrike storm speeder. The hailstrike just has a variety of small anti-infantry guns, frag grenade launchers, a Gatling cannon, some heavy stubbers. But its real benefit here, a couple things. First of all, it can deep strike now. Speeders can deep strike in 10th edition, so I can bring him into the table and he can drop on an objective to hold an objective, get in a corner for a secondary. But offensively, after he shoots, he picks one thing that he hit with one of his guns, and then for the rest of that shooting phase, the rest of my army gets extra AP, 1 extra AP into that target. So really, I've got 12 Cyclone missile launchers here. That means 24 crack missile shots or 24 frag missile shots. Crack missiles are only AP2, but with the stratagem, they get up to AP3. And then with the hail strike, they get up to AP4. So that means they're pretty effective into hard targets at that point. So this is the DeathWatch list. What you'll see me doing a lot of times is for 1 CP, I can use a stratagem on 2 kill teams. And then the Terminator Captain lets me do it on his unit for free as well. So 1 CP, and I can affect 3 units with a stratagem, which means I get a lot of efficiency out of those strats. That's the list we're running tonight into DJ's Canoptek Necron list. I'm anxious to see how they do punching in some old dead robots. I will be bringing this to a GT this weekend, so I'll let you guys know next week how that goes. It's a smaller event. I think it caps out at 30 or 40 players, but it's still a 2-day, 5-round event, so I'm looking to have a good time. It's at Battlegrounds to Board Games in Canton, which is a great store, real great atmosphere. Where I've gone there for a couple tournaments this year, and they've been a great experience. So shout out to them. So yeah, this is the DeathWatch. I'm going to take them to the Necrons. Follow me over to the battle report, guys. We'll see how they do. Fingers crossed they do well against the filthy Xenos.